Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, a bunch of images of the second wave of Jurassic World Rebirth figures just released, and we're going to talk about them. I know I'm a bit late to this, but I'm finally getting them around to doing the video. Anyways, let's jump into these. First, we have the second wave of WildR figures, and just gonna say it now, I think this wave is not the best. Actually, just generally the second wave I think is more of a mixed bag for me. I think there are some really good ones in here, but generally I think it's weaker than the first wave of figures. Well, kind of, actually. This wave might be better just for two figures in it specifically, but we'll get to those. Anyways, for the WildRars, first we have the Aucasaurus, which, I mean, looks alright. It's another abelisaur. I wish that we would have gotten more diversity. Like, apparently they're trying to do, like, sky, water, and land. I think it would have been cool to get, like, a Tropiognathes for, like, a pterosaur or a marine reptile. Which one? I don't know. Maybe, like, Archelon, or maybe even giving like a plesiosaur in the size range, or even better, an ichthyosaur would be great to see. But, and of course, we got two abelisaurs in the same wave, which I think is a bit intense. So anyways, Aucasaurus, we can't see much, but I mean, I guess it looks alright. Definitely not going to pick this guy up. Then we also have Abelisaurus, which I really like the colors on this figure, but the actual sculpt I have, like, I think the head sculpt looks good, but after that, the body kind of just looks generic, and I really, really hate the arms on this thing. I'm not the biggest fan of this figure. I do like the colors. Now, the one I'm the most disappointed about is the euoplocephalus. Like, I was really hoping we would finally get a large ankylosaur figure that actually looked like the real-life animal somewhat. The Jurassic World Ankylosaurus, I just was never a big fan of. I didn't hate it or anything, just I really prefer the real-life animal, and was hoping since we were finally getting euoplocephalus, we would get one that looks actually like euoplocephalus. But no, instead we get basically another ankylosaurus just repainted. Honestly, don't know why they're even releasing euoplocephalus. If they were just going to make another ankylosaurus, they might as well have just released ankylosaurus with a weird color scheme. Really don't like this guy. It doesn't even really look like a Jurassic World style euoplocephalus. It just looks like an ankylosaurus with bright colors. Really disappointed about this figure. Definitely not going to get it. I was really hoping to get this guy anyways. Next we have Spiclypeus, which this is the only one out of the wave, second wave of WildR figures that I'm actually really excited about. I think this figure looks great, and I would definitely get it if I didn't already have the Beast of the Mesozoic version of it. I have very few Beast of the Mesozoic figures, and it happened to be one of the species that Mattel happened to also just make a figure of. I think the paint job, I think the green could definitely extend out, and I don't know how I feel about the tan, but generally I think this figure looks great. So, yeah, generally the WildRars, I don't know, don't think they're the best. I think the Spiclypeus is good, and maybe we could keep one of the abelisaurs, maybe the Aucasaurus, but then I would prefer to see, like, Tropiognathes, and, like, maybe Symbospondylus, or Ophthalmosaurus as an ichthyosaur. But, anyways, now we have the Zara and Velociraptor set, and I think the Zara figure looks alright, and, man, this Velociraptor's ugly. I honestly don't know how I feel about the Rebirth Velociraptor, because I know there's this one model made, which I don't know how accurate it is to the actual one in the film, but if it looks like that one model, I actually really like the Raptor, but otherwise, just from the renders we've gotten, I think it looks like a pretty decent Jurassic Raptor, but nothing spectacular. I think the Mattel figure, out of the Mattel figures, most of the Mattel figures, I actually think they look better than the actual designs in the films. But this, at least for the Rebirth, but the Raptor is a big exception. I think this figure is actually kind of ugly. But, yeah. Another Raptor set, but at least we're getting a new Raptor sculpt, so well, at least I'm happy about that. Anyways, we have the large T-Rex figure, which we have another one we'll talk about probably closer to the end of the video. But yeah, I'm definitely not getting this large T-Rex figure. It looks nice, though. I don't need another big T-Rex, especially for the large price tag. Also, the action feature I'm not the biggest fan of. It's kind of like that roaring T-Rex we got for Camp Cretaceous, except with a better sculpt, and also, I don't really like the light. It's kind of, I don't know, feels cheap to me for some reason. I just don't like the weird light on it. But it looks like a pretty decent T-Rex figure, besides the fact that I think its mouth is also constantly open, which I think ruins it. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this T-Rex figure. I think it looks like a decent sculpt, but definitely not going to pick this guy up. Now we have Archaeornithomimus, and man, do I hate this thing. Of the other ones, I'm just kind of, some of them I'm kind of disappointed for, or just not the biggest fan of. This one I legitimately hate. Like, I was really hoping we would just get, like, the Gallimimus one that we just got for Camp Cretaceous, except, well, maybe slightly different and with feathers. I was really hoping to get that, but then we get this weird thing. This thing looks like that weird thing that Sid from Ice Age tried to give the baby dinosaurs in that one scene. What the heck is this thing? Why, Mattel? Anyways, we have the scan code, the head sculpt, which, why does this thing look so carnivorous? I honestly think we would have been getting better off if we would have gone on like a Dylong or something instead of this weird freak. Also, again, I do want to mention we did not get Rugops or Dentinasuchus, which I really wanted Dentinasuchus. And the fact that it could have gotten replaced with this thing just makes me mad. Hopefully we get Dentinasuchus and it's another wave, maybe wave 3, but Yeah, I hate this thing. Anyways, minqaria, I think it is, or something like that. This figure, I mean, I didn't have any crazy expectations for it, and I think it looks pretty decent. With one weird exception is, like, what's up with the body? Like, I think the body needs to be quite a bit longer because it's just really weird. Maybe you can pose in it. I think it's the hind legs are just too long. I think that's the big issue, and the torso might be a bit too short. But I don't know. Probably not gonna pick this guy up. But I think he looks pretty decent besides the kind of weird proportion issues. The paint job looks pretty solid. The sculpt looks pretty good. Kind of like this guy. Now we have Beipiaosaurus, which, of all the species to not make fully feathered, you choose this thing. I think I would have preferred the archaeornithomimus, since that thing is already a lost cause as far as I'm concerned, to be non-feathered, and they gave the feathers to Beipiaosaurus. Happy we're finally getting another Therizinosaurus figure. This is finally our second one after Therizinosaurus. And I think, besides the lack of feathers, I think it's a pretty decent figure. Probably not going to pick it up again, but still think it looks pretty decent. The paint, the color scheme, pretty simple. Sculpt, pretty simple and solid. Not my favorite thing in the world, but also don't think it's really that bad. Now, here's the scan code for whatever this creature with the pterosaur is. This thing, I can't remember what it's called. Let me go check real fast. Like, Cerodactylus or Ceratoterus or something like that. I don't know. I actually kind of would have expected them to do Pterodactylus, since it's such an iconic, well, such a known name, kind of. I think I'm kind of surprised they didn't do Pterodactylus, since this looks very similar to Pterodactylus, or maybe even Darwinopterus, or what is the other one, Germodactylus. But we get this thing, which, I mean, I think it looks like a pretty solid pterosaur figure. I think the paint job's nice, I think the sculpt's nice. I might get this guy, don't know yet. I think he looks nice. Next, we have the strike attacks, and why, Mattel? Just why? We have herrerasaurus, and I don't know why Mattel insists on reusing this herrerasaurus sculpt. We got a better one back with Dino Trackers, and everyone, and I say everyone, I mean like everyone loved that thing. I don't think there's a single person that disliked it. Everyone loved that new herrerasaurus sculpt. It looks so good. Yet you decide to reuse the old one that a majority of people hated. I don't know why. We've gotten like, I think like 4 or 5 herrerasauruses after the Dino Tracker one, and all of them have been this old ugly sculpt instead of that new one. We got only one new herrerasaurus, which was the old sculpt, the new sculpt, and that one was literally just a repack, not a repaint, not like, it was not a repaint or anything, or like a retool to use, or anything like that. It was just kind of the same, exact same like color scheme and everything, and I don't know why they had to make a new feature for this, so they could have really used either one, yet they used this sculpt. I mean, the paint job on this figure, actually, I kind of like the color scheme on it too. That's the worst thing. I just don't know why they keep on reusing this one. It's kind of ugly, but I mean, I don't hate it the most. Definitely not gonna pick it up, but I really actually kind of like the color scheme on it. Though I wish they would have used the newer sculpt, and also the action feature on it. I usually hate the weird twisting action features, but I think it actually kind of works on this thing, so yeah. Now we're getting another species, which I'm kind of surprised they're making, a Nanotyrannus, which I guess because it's kind of popular, but I actually have like one issue with this thing, and it's the head sculpt. It looks good, just I wish it was more elongate like actual Nanotyrannus. Otherwise, I don't have much of an issue. Oh yeah, also Nanotyrannus doesn't exist, but considering we've gotten Troodon, which I actually kind of approve of that figure, and we've gotten the Dubious Freak, why not get Nanotyrannus in here? Mattel, if you see this video, please make Saurophaganax next. It's dubious, but kind of not. It's kind of questioned. Just release Saurophaganax. You don't have to do Allosaurus Annex. Just make it a gigantic tracker, Saurophaganax. Give it a beautiful sculpt. Might as well use the Dinosaur King colors, please. Please, please. If you're going to do dubious stuff, at least do the cool one. Anyways, yeah, I think this Nanotyrannus, I actually really like the color scheme, and I might get this figure. I don't know what the heck I'm going to use it as, because it's not really, doesn't look like a Nanotyrannus, and, I mean, I guess it could kind of be like a juvenile T-Rex. Pretty interesting. I'm surprised I like this figure as much as I do. Next, we have a resculpt of Zuniceratops, which this figure confuses me for 2 reasons. First thing, they already had a Zuniceratops sculpt, which I don't think anyone really complained about or really wanted a resculpt of. Like, Herrerasaurus made sense to resculpt because the old sculpt was hideous, but the Zuniceratops one was pretty good. And another thing, this doesn't really look like Zuniceratops. I have this image down here, and okay, on the left side you have on the top the resculpted Zuniceratops, on the bottom you have the older one, which looked pretty alright. And then on the other side, you can see on the bottom, I have Zuniceratops, and then we have another Ceratops on the top, which I think is like Tyrannoceratops, and that is what I actually would have expected this figure to be, since it looks more similar to that, and then the fact that it's a new sculpt. Surprised that they didn't list it under the name of that. I kind of wish that they would have. Honestly, pretty pretty interesting. I think I would have preferred to get a marine reptile in this wave, or a synapsid again, or even Dentinocecus. But I don't hate this figure. I think kind of wish they would have labeled it under Tyrannoceratops. Though I don't think I'm going to get this figure. I think the paint job looks really nice and the sculpt looks good. Just kind of weird. And here's an image of it in packaging. The head, the whole body. Again, it's really bulky and really weird that they released this figure, but it looks nice. Next, we have one I was really not expecting, but I think it looks really nice, the achillobator. Honestly, there's one thing that I kind of not the biggest fan of is the posture. Or the posture. I think it's kind of weird that it's upright like this, though maybe you can kind of pose it down a little bit. Otherwise, I actually really like the paint scheme, the colors, like the color scheme of it, and the sculpt. And it's really interesting that they actually did achillobator in the same way they're doing Utahraptor. It's also feathered, and they're doing it the same wave. I guess they're taking inspiration from beasts of the Mesozoic. Good that they're taking inspiration from there, but still, I think it's just a really nice figure. Honestly, I might actually get the achillobator. Now we have the two best figures, which most of these figures, like I say, there's some pretty decent ones and some questionable ones in here. I think it's weaker than the first wave, but still an all-around pretty decent wave. These two figures might make up for that and make this the best wave. Anyways, we have Chilantaisaurus, which I know I was saying the Tyrannotyrannus figure should have just been Chilantaisaurus, but man, I actually don't want that just because this figure looks so good. It kind of looks like a Megaraptorid to me. Like, actually, this could have also worked for, like, if it, like, had more of, like, a hump and maybe was green, I think could be a really cool Aucasaurus figure as well. But honestly, this Chilantaisaurus, I think it looks really cool. It also looks kind of like a Megaraptorid, and if Mattel ever makes a Make Megathorax, please make a gigantic tracker Make Megathorax, Mattel, and make it look somewhat similar to this, because I think this figure just looks really nice. The paint scheme is perfect, the sculpt is great, the action feature is pretty solid. I love this thing, and definitely am going to pick it up. But, here's the scan code, but it's not the best figure. You're wondering what that is? It's this absolute stunning figure, the Purussaurus. I absolutely love this thing. I'm pretty sure everyone loves this figure. It's great. I was really worried about the Purussaurus figure since Mattel has, again, with these new rebirth figures, even these ones, they have a tendency to do a little bit more cartoony. And the first wave of gigantic tracker figures, I wasn't the biggest fan of because they kind of look really cartoony, and I was really hoping that they would not do a cartoony Purussaurus, since Purussaurus in general already looks like kind of like a cartoony animal. But making a cartoony animal more cartoony just kind of would make it look weird, and I was really hoping they wouldn't do that. And thank goodness they actually went with the more kind of realistic looking route for this thing, and I think it looks so good. Another thing I do have to say is that this doesn't quite look like Purussaurus. It looks a little bit more like Deinosuchus to me, which is interesting why they didn't just go with Deinosuchus. Since, again, this figure looks more like Deinosuchus, and Deinosuchus, honestly, either way, this figure would have sold instantly, since people love giant prehistoric crocodilians. Not mad either way, just hope we get Deinosuchus in the future. And last thing I'm going to say is, I actually made a concept for a Deinosuchus figure. Didn't feel like having to find that, but you can go check my design videos and you'll probably find it. And it looks very similar to this. It has, like, the exact same color and everything. And it's actually, like, it's kind of crazy how close it looks to my Deinosuchus concept. But I still just think this is a great figure. It has, like, kind of a, when it turns to the side, it chomps and moves its arm. But when you, when you twist the tail, but when you move it side to side, then it just kind of chomps side to side. And man, this thing is beautiful and definitely one of the best rebirth figures. I absolutely love this thing. Now, moving on, we have the smaller, the Lab Lockdown T-Rex, which has apparently been popping up in Canada, which, man, I'm about to book a plane ticket to Canada at this point, because, man, I want to get these figures. But apparently they're releasing soon. Really hope so. Anyways, this Lab Lockdown T-Rex looks great. I was really not going to get that T-Rex figure, but I might get this one instead, since it's kind of like a cheaper figure. And also, I just think it's a little bit better. I think that just generally the sculpt and paint scheme looks a little bit better than the bigger one. I also just think that this one looks better because it has the jaw closed. I don't know why they decided to make the jaw open on the other one. But man, this figure is great. Now, we have, wait, let's see. Oh my goodness, my eyes! My eyes! Oh. Okay, jokes aside, this hideous freak is back. And at least Mattel somehow managed to make the design they actually made a design that does not laser off my retinas. So that's nice. I mean, I still don't really like the Titanosaurus, but hey, at the very least, they made the design not completely hideous. Props to Mattel. You did something the Rebirth designers couldn't. I actually again, it's pretty decent. Wish they could have had Argentinosaurus. Like, the concept of this figure as, like, a really large sauropod figure with this color scheme would have been the greatest Argentinosaurus figure. But, unfortunately, we had to get a oversized, dubious freak that doesn't look like the actual animal. Again, not the fault of Mattel, that's the fault of the Rebirth writers. But, anyways, we also have a sneak peek at the Tiger Raptor for the Hammond collection. And I hate literally every Raptor figure released in the Hammond collection, but this one looks really good, actually. I mean, when I say every Raptor except for the Pyroraptor looks great, but every other one I think looks bad. This Tiger Raptor may be the second Raptor that is actually really good, and I'm happy that it is looking really good since the Tiger Raptor is actually one of my favorite Raptors in the franchise. Definitely hope I can pick this guy up and hope they re-release some of the older Raptor figures because they need some work. But anyways, those are all the new figures. Generally, it's not the best wave. I think that it definitely has some good qualities. I think there's some pretty solid ones. Generally, I think this wave is pretty perfect. Like, the gigantic trackers are perfect. Best gigantic tracker figures we've gotten in a while, even though we just got Suchomimus and Styxosaurus, which I think those were great. Pretty much would keep those the same. For the strike attacks, I think I would get rid of... I would either rename Zuniceratops to Tyrannoceratops, since it looks more like that. Or I would probably replace it with, I don't know, maybe an Ichthyosaurus. Actually, I think we'll just rename this one to Tyrannoceratops. The Nanotyrannus just along... I mean, Nanotyrannus, just extend the face a little bit. Replace the herrerasaurus with an Ichthyosaurus, I really don't care. Or just make it the other older sculpt, the newer sculpt, which looks better. Then for the Frenzy Pack, honestly... Give the Beipiaosaurus feathers, fix the minqaria's proportions. Archaeornithomimus, either just make it an actual feathered Gallimimus or just replace it with Dentinasuchus and then release a actual feathered Ornithomimus later on. Otherwise, I think the second wave of figures just look pretty good. I also forgot the Wild Roar figures. What we're gonna do here is we're just going, since we just got a bunch of abelisaurs, I think I'll just save Abelisaurus for Wave 3, remove Aucasaurus entirely, make euoplocephalus look more like an actual euoplocephalus, replace the Aucasaurus that I removed with either Tropiognathus or Symbospondylus. Let's go Symbospondylus, have the Abelisaurus, which I moved out of the wave, to Tropiognathus, keep the Spikelops the way it is. And yeah, again, there's a few flaws that I have with this second wave, but otherwise it still looks great. Man, I'm really excited for the Purussaurus figure. And the Chilantaisaurus as well. I wasn't expecting to really like this figure as much as I do, but it looks great. And somehow that amazing figure is nowhere near as good as the Purussaurus. I think the second wave of gigantic trackers is infinitely better than the first wave. Don't get me wrong, that wave looks alright, but still. Anyways, what's your guys' favorite figure? If it's not Purussaurus, then you're really going to need to explain yourself for your favorite. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.